Hi, good day YouTubers, Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures, and I'm coming at you today with a full review of the military style stove sold on Amazon. This is the military stove that's sold on Amazon. I bought this for $65 with free shipping, so it was all packed up in a box, and for 65 bucks it was shipped to my house. The box was not much bigger than the stove, and the whole thing weighs, I don't know, probably less than 20 pounds. The whole thing folds up into itself, which I might give you a quick look at what that looks like at the end of the video here. But there's a couple things I wanted to talk to you about when it comes to this stove. This is considered like a military style camp stove, and it's something that the military would use when a guy or two guys are going to be stuck in some sort of hut tent, or maybe one of the modular units that have the vinyl siding walls. They might use the military stove in that. This is made for wood burning, and really wood burning only. It's just thin sheet metal, and for $60 it works and does its job, but there is a bunch of things that you need to know before you get into a stove like this. One of the first things, real important things, is when you get this stove, it's going to have a thick black paint on it, and I don't know what the purpose of that is. I guess it's just to keep it from rusting before it's used. But these are also made in China, and they are made in China for the US military. So I think maybe the Chinese factories are putting the toxic paint on it, you know, as a way of fighting our military. But maybe that's just a little bit of conspiracy thinking on my half. When you get this stove, you have to let it burn, fully burn in high heat for at least 2 full days before you bring it into a tent, or all you're going to do is fill your tent up with black smoke that's from the paint burning off. The paint is really awful smelling, and it definitely took at least 2.5 days of burning it off, and I still could smell a little bit of it for almost a full week. The pipes themselves, the stove pipes, is a 2.5-inch pipe, which doesn't get the best airflow, but once you get the stove worked out and you start using it, you'll get it down, and as long as you don't overpack it with wood, usually the stovepipe does an okay job. Again, with the black paint that comes on this, after I burned the stove off for about 2 to 3 days, I took the piping off, the chimney piping off, and I put that right directly in a fire that I had going outside. You're going to have a hard time getting the piping back together afterwards, because the pipe's going to expand and stuff a little bit from being in the fire. But that was the only way I could get all the black, nasty paint off of the pipe on the stovepipe. But I've been using this thing now for 2 springs, and this is my 2nd fall. And it does a pretty good job. You can only get a little bit of wood. Your wood has to be cut pretty small. Stuff like this. Stuff like this. You can get in there. This door here has no seal. So if you put wood that's too smoky in here, I only use hardwood in this thing, because otherwise a 2.5-inch pipe like this, if you use pine wood, is going to get clogged with creosote way too quickly. So I only use hardwood with this stove, and you know, smoke will come out. When you're first lighting this stove, your tent might fill up with smoke if you're not really good at it. I can use this stove now without getting any smoke in my tent, but the first The first 3 months I was using this stove, every single time I lit it, my whole tent would fill up with smoke and it would choke me out. It's a good stove though. For $65, it's the best deal that you can get, and that's with shipping and Amazon. It was brought straight to my house, and all in all, it works pretty good. If you get this thing really glowing red, you can see the whole side of it glowing red. I don't know how long it's going to take for this to burn out, but like I said, I've had this thing burning probably, I'd say altogether it's burnt for about probably 65 days. I've had this thing cranking for 65 full days at least, and it hasn't shown any signs of burning out. There's a rack in there. It came with a couple tools too, but there's a little rack that's supposed to give you some space for airflow under the wood, and most of that rack has melted out, so I don't really know what that was made out of, but it melted out pretty quick. The stove also comes with these little black tubes here. These black tubes go, boiling water for dinner. These black tubes go like this and mount right on, and they say that they're potato cookers. You're supposed to, once they get warm, you put all your stuff you want to bake in here, and it's supposed to cook them, and they suggest using it for cooking potatoes. I don't use them. I don't even keep them on the stove because I think they block heat, and they have the paint on it, and I haven't taken the time to burn the paint off of these, so I don't even use these at all. Like I said, it came with a couple of tools. It comes with this grate here, so you can flip it over here and hang stuff, but make sure the stove isn't too hot, because I've hung socks on here before and had them hanging right here and had the socks burn up on me, because the stove can get pretty hot, and this isn't very far away from it. All in all, like I said, it's a pretty good stove, and for $65 you're not going to beat it. All the other stoves that are kind of designed for a wall tent like mine running about the $250 to $300, $400 range. So this is just what I got because I wanted a deal at the time, didn't have the money to invest in a nice stove, and it's lasted me 2 years so far and done me just well. It's the middle of October in Maine right now. I'm out in the woods at my hunting camp in a canvas tent, and it's keeping me very warm on nights that are 30 degrees out. So that's a look at the military stove I've got from Amazon. I've had it for a couple years. People who follow the channel have seen me struggling with this stove over the years. I wanted to kind of talk about the stove, and you know, I still think it's a good buy, but you got to make sure you burn off all that black paint, and you got to make sure that you are got it at a good angle, got it flat so the smoke isn't coming out, and you got to really keep a good hot fire with just hard wood in it for it to really work well. But as always, thanks for watching. Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures, my military stove. Make sure you guys rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. So the lighting sucks, but I wanted to give you a quick look at everything with the camera off the mount real quick at the end of this video. See, no seal around here. So if you got wet wood or any smoky wood, you definitely get smoke leaking out of there. So there's a couple air holes there. There's a couple air holes here, so you can let some air in from the back. And here, you can see here, I don't know if you can see it, the lighting's pretty bad here, but this is some of the paint. I've taken the paint off the first two pipes. I took the paint off the first two pipes, and then the last two I didn't really I'm letting it burn off naturally, because the smoke kind of doesn't get in the tent, it goes outside of the tent. But you can see it gets all flaky as it's burning off. So just consider all this stuff before you go for a stove like this, but these are a pretty good deal at 65 bucks, 70 bucks. Well, I guess we've got it burning hot enough that there's no smoke. You can't even see the smoke. Like That's another thing. It came with like a little topper there, but it kept on. It's like a spark oppressor, like yeah, it's something. I don't remember what they call it, spark arrestor or something. It just puts out sparks, but it was getting all gunked up, and one day I was knocking it on something, it broke. It's like an hour before dark, and I've been warming this thing up all day. I'm burning off this stuff. I don't know if you can see it. It's like, that's all the paint lifted off. It's lifting off the pipe. Next time I burn it tomorrow, I'm going to take this pipe and switch it with this pipe, so that one burns off. So I'll at least have two that are all burned off, so it won't be poisoning me slowly in the tent. And probably sandpaper the whole entire thing a little bit and clean that stuff off. I don't know, it's bare metal after that, so it's gonna rust real easy, but that doesn't really matter. I've had some really rusty stoves and they still put out nice and hot. So yeah, this is the military portable wood stove, tent stove, or whatever they call it. But I believe it is made in China. This one I got on Amazon. Works good, $70. Pretty good. You can put pretty big sized pieces of wood in there. I mean not that big, but if you split up a log into 4 quarters, you can put pretty big quarters in there. Keep it going. Excuse me. Smoke is bothering me here. This thing has these little potato warmers on it, which I need to get flared out so I can add an extra length to the pipe. And then the other one I'll keep, I guess, because I guess you can put stuff in aluminum foil in there and potatoes in there, and it will just slowly cook them, you know, throughout your time you're burning your stove. It boils water. If you just put a bunch of, you know, sticks in there, decent sized sticks, and get it really blazing, get it really hot, you can get water boiling. Or it takes a while to get water boiling. It's hard to get it to actual boil, but you get it to just about boiling easy. You can cook with it, and I cooked pasta today with it, and it was angel hair. Came out pretty good. Came out fast. But not as fast as if it was